PJ Crowley is a spokesman for the US State Department. He told me despite these latest developments, there is still hope for renewed negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians.
We can conceive of negotiations going forward because it's only through negotiations that you address and resolve the underlying issues that lead to these kinds of announcements and lead to tensions that prevent progress and ultimately prevent a peace agreement.
So it really was just the timing
interest.
of the announcement, and it really wasn't the substance of, illegal construction on occupied land and breaking the roadmap and all of the quartet's principles and so forth. It simply was a matter of timing then. That's what got the administration so irate. It wasn't the 1,600 homes as such then.
I mean,
this is backing down,
obviously,
it sounds like, actually.
That announcement both was an embarrassment to the United States, but it also was a complication. The timing was unfortunate in that both sides had agreed to enter into proximity talks. What we're saying to both sides is, you have said you're ready to move forward, now we need to have actions on both sides that allow us to actually do that. And only within these discussions and ultimately negotiations can you actually address the very specific issues
the negotiations
on the ground that have
the 1,600 homes. That's what part of the proximity talks will actually be about. This isn't any sort of precondition or anything. You can certainly understand the Israeli government moving ahead with the 1,600 homes without any consequences to them, but you just incorporate this issue now into the proximity talks. Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, what we're saying is that both sides have responsibility to take actions that move the process forward, avoid actions that inhibit progress that we hope to see. We want to get to the negotiations so that we can get to these underlying issues that have to be resolved if we're going to see ultimately a peace agreement that is in everyone's interest.
So it's all been walked back, hasn't it? There's been lots of talk about unbreakable and unshakable bonds over the course of the day. The administration's backed down from the sort of language we heard over the weekend. How can the Palestinians, the Arab League, those in the West Bank and Gaza and anywhere else for that matter, trust the US now if we're not really sure what you mean, what the administration means? One minute it's it's principle, the next minute it's no, let's just talk about our problems.
Well, what we're saying is that any time that we see actions on either side that inhibit progress, we're going to call them out. In this particular case...
But then do nothing about it.
Well, I disagree with you. We have laid out some very specific steps that we expect and hope the Israelis will be willing to take. If they make those steps, then that will demonstrate a commitment to this process. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have outlined some concerns to the Israelis. We're waiting for a response from the Israelis. And then from that will tell us what level of commitment Israel has to move forward. But we still have also, we're in discussions with the Palestinians. We want to make sure that the Palestinians are taking on their responsibility to make sure that we have the kind of conditions that allow us to move forward.
But can't you see, though, all this talk of unshakable and unbreakable bonds suggests there will never be any consequences towards Israel because the bond is unshakable and unbreakable. It suggests that the US simply cannot be trusted as an honest broker, even as Israel violates international law so flagrantly and insults the Vice President.
Well, wait a second. Behind your question is the kind of zero-sum mentality that we're trying to avoid here, that one side wins, the other side loses. We're looking ultimately for a win-win proposition. It is in everyone's interest to see the emergence of two states, and with security for the Israelis and with a viable state for the Palestinians. Absent a negotiation, these issues are not possible. So we want to get to a process that leads to a win for the Palestinians and a win for the Israelis. We think that's possible.